welcome back to my channel. I'm Emerald the Quilter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a design wall. And you really only need a few supplies to accomplish this. The most important one is the board. So we have a board, some batting, of course I have a roll, fleece, some heavy duty tape. The tape that I'm using is the duct tape brand, and it is the color white. And then some scissors to cut your batting or any excess fleece that you have. So what we need to do is make sure that we have the right foam. This one is a dense foam, and I've seen it in two different colors. I've seen this foam, and not necessarily in this brand, but this density, in this gray, which this one was purchased at Lowe's. And I've seen something almost exactly like this, and it was dense just like this one at Home Depot. That one, I think it was the color purple. Either one would be just fine. What I would stray away from is the insulation boards that are just like traditional foam, and those are kind of like what you're maybe used to seeing in packaged boxes that are white and they're crumbly with little round pieces. I made one with that, and it's at my parents' home in Kansas, and it stays there, and it's a beautiful design board, but it's just not as sturdy as this one is. So this one, I can wiggle it like this, and although it's 8 feet tall, it's not gonna snap. The one that I made with the cheaper white crumbly foam insulation board, that one I have to be really careful with. So it's worth spending a few extra dollars to get this kind. And it's been a while now, but I don't think, it was definitely less than $25 per board, and I have several boards. It's worth it. So get yourself a dense insulation board, and depending on the size that you want, you'll either leave it as is or you can cut it. So I have one in my studio that I just cut it right down the middle, and so I have a 4x4 by my cutting table, and then the other half of that 4x4 is just right above my domestic sewing machine, so that I can just have a place to see what I'm sewing, and I can put it on the wall, and then I can, you know, if I have something that needs to get out of the way, I can put it right above my cutting table on the wall. So depending on your wall space and what you want to use it for, you know, try to visualize all of that before you start cutting away. So have the right, this is styrofoam board, and then it is handy to wash your fleece. If you don't have the time, or you're just not patient to wash your fleece, at least throw it in the dryer to get most of the wrinkles out, and also to fluff it up. This helps with adhering your fabric so that it stays. Then what we have to do is, and I will move the camera so that you can see, but you want to have a tabletop. Most of mine were actually made on the floor because I was sort of setting it all up in the middle of my move, and I was down on the floor making my boards, but now that I have the table set up, it's gonna go so much easier. So have a flat surface to work on, and make sure that you've got the room. So these styrofoam boards are 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide. So they're pretty big. And this particular one that I have behind me, I'm gonna leave it that size because it's going to be my portable design wall so that I can move it around the room if I have to. Well, and honestly, I just kind of ran out of space in my sewing room, so it's gonna stay loose. So what we need to do is make sure that we have our fleece down on our flat surface, and we're going to make sure that it is wrinkle-free, more or less, and then measure our batting to fit the board. So I tucked my fleece out of the way. It's still under the table, but it's over here to my left. And I have my measuring tape and my scissors ready to go. I'm not going to focus on trying to get this completely perfect because whatever is extra, I will tug it and then tape it to the back side of the board. But I do want to make sure that I have at least 4 feet. And if you do not have a roll like I do, you're just going to want to probably measure a little bit differently than the way that I'm doing, because folded naturally right off of the roll, it's 4 feet. So for me, this is the way that, that it just works. And I'm trying to get it pretty flat and making sure that there's not any obvious folds in it. Now I'm going to take my measuring tape and measure just a little bit over 4 feet, like 4 feet 2 inches. That'll just give me a little bit of wiggle room. And I'm going to make my cut right here. And then move this up to this side and cut right here. So now I have somewhere to go. You could draw a line if you wanted to be extra fancy, but you know, it's going to go in between the board and the fleece, so it's fine. And just cut away. Okay, I've got my piece, and what I'm going to do next is prepare my tape and get the board up on the table. I no longer need the rest of this batting, so you really only need that one cut. And I want to lay this flat. Just like this over the table. I might even just move this a little bit more out of the way. And I want to see the edges, so I'm going to have them not hang off on this side and then to my left. That will help me center it a little bit better, and then I can scoot it. Now, when you lay your board on your batting, you want the text to go in the back. And the reason you want your text to go in the back of your design wall is because the black text will show through your fabric, or it could. If you picked a different color other than white, it might not show through. So I'm just now going around to make sure that the batting is going to touch the edges, but especially the top. And I see that this is wide enough and long enough. Now, we grab our tape and we're going to tape one side down. And I'm going to start with what is going to be the top. So I know that just like, you know, the direction that these words are facing means for me that that's going to be the top, because I'm going to tape all of the top side so that when gravity is trying to pull the inside, which is the batting of my design wall down, the batting is being held into place and it won't fall. So I just rip my tape And I stick it on there real good. And this particular tape has been wonderful. If you mess up, you can remove it and it won't destroy everything, but it sticks so well. I just got a little bit left on this side, and then I'm gonna add it to the other side. And I've gone through 2 of these guys. So buy yourself 1 roll if you're thinking of making 1 design wall. Or if you're thinking of making several like I did, get yourself some more. So now I'm gonna just pull it towards me so that there's a little bit of tension. And then I'm gonna come to this side and I'm gonna repeat the process. So I'm just grabbing that batting and, you know, I'm not gonna tear it, but I just wanna make sure that it's a little taut. And it will also help keep your fleece from making any accidental folds. And really, if you wanted to just tape it completely, you could, but it's not as super necessary to do so, especially on the bottom half of your design wall. So, and you know, now that I think about this, is this one going to be a design wall or a design board? Because it's kind of like, it's not going on the wall, it's just gonna lean on the wall, like lean on it, not be hanging on it, and so maybe it's a gigantic design board. Anyways, just some silliness, but I'm just adding tape. It may be like, I know when I did this the first time, I really needed help, but that's also because I didn't have a table to work on, and it was just helpful to have 2 sets of hands. So if you've got someone to help you, that would be really nice. Okay. Now, I'm just gonna add a few on the other sides, especially in the middle, because I don't want it to be super droopy. I'm gonna lay the batting on top of it and then pull it over. So that's how I do that. I think I'm just gonna add 2 more pieces. One on this side. And pull it over. There's a lot of repetition to this, and I'm gonna repeat the same process over here. And I really like this tape because it's pretty easy to rip. Okay, just like that. Give your batting a little bit of a tug. And you want to make sure that you have enough batting to cover the front. So like if you didn't have enough and it was like an inch short, well, you're gonna notice that even with the fleece. So it's important to have some good measurements going. Remember to add 2 inches if you're not sure. But even with me not cutting straight, and also because I've had some practice, those wonky cuts don't cause a problem. So don't worry about that. Worry about having the minimum. Okay, so now let's flip this over so you can see what it looks like. And at this point in the process, you want to make sure that you don't have any threads or noticeable little thingies on here because they'll shine through your fleece. Like I see right here, I don't know what this is. It came in the batting. So whatever that was, maybe a dried bug. I'm gonna move this out of the way now. And grab my fleece. And this fleece is already cut. I purchased the fleece, an entire bolt from Joanns, and that was the best price that I could find. It's so hard to tell which side is the front and which side is the back, and honestly, I don't even think that there is a difference. Anyways, so I bought a bolt of white fleece from Joanns, and I did that because they offer discounts, and I don't remember which discount I get, but sometimes they're on sale naturally, and sometimes there's a coupon for like 40% off, and then an additional % off, and you know, free shipping with this X amount of dollars spent, or so that's what I did. I got mine from Joanns. And the fleece was washed and cut into chunks so that they would be more manageable. And I'm getting the board. I do need my duct tape. We're gonna lift this and it will grab onto your fleece, so try to lay it down more or less where you think it's gonna go. Even if you're a little off, it'll be okay. All right, so I'm gonna make sure that on this side it covers, and it does. And I may have too much on this side and not enough on the other. So let's go and see. Okay, more than enough. And let's just make sure I have enough on the bottom. Perfect, so I'm gonna get full coverage. And I'm gonna start by just the way I did with the batting. I'm gonna start with the top. So I've got this flipped over, right? And if you have some, you know, more on one side, it's easier to push your board than it is to try and manage the actual fleece. So push one side if you don't have enough. Don't pull, because you're just gonna pull everything with you. So like, to me, it looks like I have more fleece on this side than that. And that looks a little bit better now. Let's see, nope, still. Just giving it a push. Okay, now that looks so much better. And I'm going to actually adhere with the tape completely all of the edges, because I just want a clean finish, and I don't want anything to slip out. It would be nice, and I may be able to do this, if I could get, you know, one big strip, but that's being kind of picky. you know, for what reason other than being a little OCD do you have to do that, but let's see how that goes. Okay, give this a little tug. Hold with my right hand, smooth out with my left hand. And I think any more than that is just not going to work. So rip mine apart, pull, lay down, press, pull, lay down, and press over and over and over. And you see what happened right there. Pull, lay down, and press. Okay, this is, I don't know if I like that wrinkle. I don't like that wrinkle. So I'm going to get that wrinkle out. And you see how easy that was? No big deal to fix. And now we've got just this side here. This little corner. Oops, finger got stuck. And that's ruined. Okay, let's try that again. Just like this. Okay, and we're going to repeat what we did here on the other side. We're going to pull this so that we can see that it's on the table over here. Make sure it's in the middle of the table. And I'm going to give it a tug because I do not want a saggy design wall, especially if I'm going to be grabbing it and moving it around occasionally. Really, what I plan to do with this one is store it behind the long arm or in between my long arm and my window because my studio is really cramped. And I'm not complaining, just saying how I make it work. Okay. Whoops, completely ruined that piece. And that's another reason why you might need more than one roll, because it's easy to get off of other surfaces, but it is not easy to get off of itself. Just get a smaller piece. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to just get this on those edges. Pull and then press. And I lift up the board to pull my fleece down. Pull this just like that. And then I've got one more corner over here. Whoops, that just bounced on me. Okay, there we go. Now, this is where you're going to want to consider Do you want it to be all the same? Is it gonna bother you if you have too much on one side? For me, it might bother me a little bit. Why? I don't know. So I'm just going to trim it just a little bit. I would like it to be maybe a little bit more even all the way around. Certainly not perfect, but even or close to even would be nice. I think also a good reason to trim away when you have too much fabric is because it's easier to manage when you're pulling your fleece over. And then I think you might even just be less likely to have a saggy design wall. Because, you know, all this fabric is heavy and it's going to get pulled down over time. Okay, so this is quite a bit of excess fabric that did not need to be on there. And I'm gonna repeat the process on this side over here. And you know, being able to cut along a table is another reason why having a table to work on this is a great idea. And these scissors that I'm using are not my fabric scissors. They're not my anything scissors. They're just like scissors good enough to cut batting. But I would not use my fabric scissors on something like this because it's not for the quilt itself. Okay, there we go. And now it's time to add some tape. And I've got jagged edges because of, you know, the quick cut that I made, but it's pretty much covered with the tape, so don't worry about it. And I think I'm either gonna have just enough of this tape or I'm gonna have to grab my other roll. There we go. I'm giving it a tug. I'm just trying to get it nice and flat. I'm gonna add a little bit more tape right here because it's kind of off center. Just in case. There we go. It is much easier to work with smaller pieces, but it is quite satisfying when you can get a long one in. Okay, give that a little bit of a tug. And then with these corners, You can really just do whatever you want with them. Like when you're wrapping a Christmas gift, fold them in or whatever, make it pretty. I think all of mine are done a little bit differently. For me, it was just trying to get them to not show through the front was more important. So that's what I did. You can see there that I left a little bit of space because I want to add some tape there. Just like this. And then this I think could be forward just a little bit. There we go. There. And I'm going to cover this right here. Okay, now I just continue on this other side. Pull it, tape it down. Pull it, tape it down. Get this over here. Pull it, tape it down. And I'm going to work on this corner right here. To try to get it, you know, tucked in so it's not too noticeable. Okay. And add some more tape. I definitely need to go get my other roll. Tape this little corner down. Yay. Okay, so I've got 3 out of 4 sides done. I need to go grab myself a roll, dispose of these, and we'll finish that last side together. Okay, I've got my other roll, and I am going to use whatever, I'm just giving this a tug, whatever is left of this roll here, which is really not much. Looks like that's all I had. And tape that down. And find the new spot of this tape. Oh, these little grooves just, there we go. Want to tear it right down the center. Make a new clean cut because it's like etched in. Okay. Lay it down. Grab your batting, pull, and press. batting, pull, and press. Grab your batting, pull, and press. And I've got a little gap here and I want to cover it up. It's not necessary, I just want to. Okay. This should be enough. Grab my batting, pull, and press. Okay, and now here, I did not leave myself enough room. Just lift that up a little bit. Pull this flat and underneath. And that is like completely weird. So we're just gonna leave this little bulge right there. I think it's because I just didn't take the time or I taped too close. But you know what? It's in the back. It is okay. All right. So I've got that side done. And I only have this half left. And then we'll be able to see how awesome this design wall is. And altogether, this, like just one, will take you anywhere between half an hour to an hour. So if you want to make several, just make sure that you're ready for that. Well, let me be careful with this one. Okay, that is better. Grab the batting, pull, and press. Grab your batting, pull, and press. And then, whoops, this is like sticking out. Okay. We're just gonna like make a pucker and we're gonna tape over that pucker. You could be more neat than I, if you would like. I'm gonna fold that pucker in right there. And we're going to add the tape just across, ta-da! Okay, so all of 4 sides are completely taped down, and I'm going to move the camera so that you can see it from the front. And ta-da! We've got a huge design wall. It's kind of ridiculous how tall this is, especially with me standing next to it. To get all the way to the top, I recommend having yourself a step ladder. I have 2 in my studio, one shorter and one much taller, so that I can actually get even above this. And I just want to point out that it is a little loose. There's some give to it, but the tighter that you pull, the less give that you'll have. And it is kind of difficult to pull on the fleece because it's sticking to your batting. But, you know, just remember to lift your board a little bit and then pull. It'll be fine. And then just remember that once you start putting your blocks on here and everything, you're not going to notice it. But, you know, giving it some steam or just smoothing it out with your hands will get rid of it. So like you see there's a little bit, just move it out of the way, and then problem solved. So there you have it. It's really quite simple, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a design wall or a design board, whatever it is that you want to call it. And remember to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!